Hello, family, friends, and fans. I'm Fletcher Rhoden, and this is Fletcher Rhoden's Medellin Diaries. It's a little mini series I'm shooting for the benefit of those of you who are thinking of coming to Medellin, Colombia. Uh, I'll share what I know, and hopefully, it'll help you have a better trip. I'm not going to include a lot of footage because I don't want to get my phone stolen. It's Medellin after all. You got to respect the local customs. The law here is that if you show your phone in public, anybody can legally assume ownership of it. Well, maybe not so legally. Anyway, um, this is my second installment of this little mini series. If you are just tuning in, you might want to go back and watch Fletcher Rhoden's Medellin Diaries, the first installment, which traced my misadventures coming into town. Of course, no big city makes a great impression at first, and Medellin isn't so different. It's a big city. I think its travel magazine that listed Laureles, which is the area I'm in Medellin, as the number one coolest neighborhood in the world. I don't know about that. It's got some coolness to it. It reminds me a bit of Brooklyn, not quite Manhattan, but it's gentrified and it's got some posh areas and some not so posh areas. There are places you wouldn't want to go. There are places where it's safer than you'd think. Um, you want to be cautious. You got to have your head on a swivel. Um, on the street level, it's all right. Some spots of it, there's not a lot of green areas. You look ahead a few blocks and you think, oh, a park. This will be nice, and it's just a concrete, you know, gutter with some trees planted alongside of it. So that's not as nice. It's very metropolitan. I wouldn't call it cosmopolitan, but I'd say it's metropolitan. A lot of the buildings they're really utilitarian, flat brick, like Howard Rourke's Wet Dream. They're not ornate at all, and there's a lot of congestion. It's very loud. It's urban and crowded everywhere you go. It would seem you can probably hear the call of the urban wild out there, call of the urban jungle. Let's see. It's I'm right across the street from this big mall. I'm in a hotel, by the way, called Molinos Plaza Hotel. Molinos, and it's very nice. Everything on this street, Calle 30A, seems to be called Molinos something or another. Right across the street is Comercial Centrico del Molinas, the big mall of Molinas. And it's right where all of this stuff is right down the street from the university. We're in the university area, University de Medellin. So it's kind of that kind of area. It's funky, it's crackling with a lot of action, um, lots of places to eat and drink and things of that sort. The food is good. There's a lot of soup that's delicious. I ordered a soup that had chicken livers in it. Ugh. Chicken liver soup. Come on. Uh, but in Ecuador, I ordered chicken soup once, and it came with a claw. A claw was in it. So anyway, the food's been good. I try to use some of my Spanish, but I don't really speak a lot of it. I really just know some words in Spanish. I don't really know how to speak the language. I can kind of understand it just by the process of deduction, by context. I can figure it out. But it's not easy. And then if you try to say it with an accent, if you come up with a few things you know how to say, and you say them with a slightly Spanish accent, they take you for knowing Spanish. And then they just bam, hit you with a stream of Spanish. Bam, 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 bam. And it's a fast language. It's beautiful, but it's fast. And there's no way you can really fake it. I mean, a little bit, you sort of know, as I say by the context, if you order the menu del dia and she's the waiter or waitress spits a bunch of things at you and you recognize carne and pollo, they're asking you what kind of meat you want. Go with the pollo, be my suggestion. Beef here, a little chewy. Uh, everything comes with soup. I ordered the tilapia the other day at a place, and she hit me with a stream of Spanish. I presume it was soup or salad, but you're supposed to get both. So I just said soup. It came down to soup. Is it soup you want? So I said, yes, soupa, soupa, sopa is fine, sopa. And she nods and walks away and come back 2 minutes later with a bowl of soup saying, sopa, sopa. And I said, yes, soup, sopa, gracias, si, si. And she shrugs and walks away again. Then she comes back 2 minutes later with like her supervisor, an older woman, and the senora says, in Spanish, and I'm lost by it, but I hear the word consomme and something else. So I say, si, si. Now I think, looking back, they were asking me if I wanted regular, like chicken broth soup, or if I wanted the consomme. I think that's what they were getting at. But at the time, I was just, whatever it is, just bring it to me. I'll eat it, whatever it is. So they shrug and walk away. And then someone from the other table leans over to me and says, points at her soup bowl and says, sopa means soup. I said, yeah. By then, lots of people are looking at me. I'm like, yeah, I understood that part. That was pretty much the only part I did understand was sopa and tilapia. The rest of it is just too fast, you know. So if you think you're gonna fake your way through a conversation in Spanish, don't. Just order the sopa and take whatever they give you. Let's see. Had a very cool thing happen to me in the mall. I was at this mall, which is across the street. By the way, there are lots of malls here, um, and they're big, they're shiny. If you need to feel like you're in the United States, just go to one of these. It's just like it's like a mall in the United States, only it's open. Okay, so I was in the mall. I was looking for some pesas, some dumbbells, which I like to walk around. When I do my walks, I like to do that. But I left mine in my previous location because I didn't want to drag them around. So I went to buy new ones, and I couldn't find a sporting goods store. And this uh, Colombiana, whose name was Clara, she was shopping with her friend. She comes over to me, asks me what I need. She knows English pretty well because she lived in the U.S. It turns out. She assumes to be my interpreter, leaves her friend in the shoe store, and walks me over to a security guard, asking about his sporting goods store. She doesn't abandon me. She sticks by me to the end. We're chatting. She's very lovely, very friendly. She explains that she wants to be hospitable and help people in her home country, which is lovely. Colombianas in general, super friendly, super nice, just like Ecuadorians. People I meet are very nice. The people you meet who are not so nice, I tend not to meet them. Kind of go out of my way not to meet them. So, anyway, she takes me. I finally get some pesas, and she's very sweet. I would have been lost in this mall. I never would have found my own way. So, her hospitality, Clara, greatly appreciated. Thank you, Clara. Let's see. However, I had this apartment lined up, right? And it's not far from here, about 14 blocks from where I am. Google Maps made that pretty clear. So it's not far. I get into a taxi across the street to this mall, and there are taxis lined up in front of the mall. So finding a taxi was not a problem. I get into one, I show the guy the address, and he looks at me like you know, like I'm holding him up. And I say, here, it's like, he punches it into his phone, which is stuck to the rearview mirror, and he says, no. And I'm like, why? He says, no. And I didn't understand why not. I got driven in from the airport into Medellin, it's 40 minutes. And this place was 14 blocks. So I didn't get this at all. So I got out of the cab, went into another cab, showed him the address, and he says, no. I was like, why? What are you talking about? The guy says, Mas Barrios, which I think means too many neighborhoods away. But it was in a certain part of Laureles, like I am in a certain part of Laureles. It wasn't even in El Poblado. Pablo, sorry, I haven't been there yet. Um, Poblado. It was right here. It was 14 blocks away. And two taxi drivers told me they couldn't take me there. I didn't get it. I tried walking it earlier in the day, but it was too far to walk. If you're coming to Medellin, let me tell you this, it's not a walkable city. You're never going to walk to where you're going, not in a million jillion years. Everyone says use Uber. But first of all, I've heard that it's not legal, and secondly, I've heard and I do believe, don't get into a car that's not a marked cab. Just make sure you negotiate with the cabbie before they drive away how much it's going to cost. Don't let them hit you with it at the end because they'll charge you too much. So I didn't want to take the Uber. Taxis wouldn't bring me, and I didn't get the apartment, which looked like the perfect deal for me. So now, and that was disappointing. I don't know what to tell you about taking the cabs here. That was going to be my reliable way of getting around. But my advice to newcomers to the area is, I don't know. But I don't know that I can recommend Uber either. I didn't really trust Uber in the States. I'm certain about not trusting it here. But everyone seems to be using it. So what can I tell you? Anyway, so now I'm stuck on February 23rd without a place to move into on March 1st. That's a little upsetting. And I prepared because I've been talking to people for a month about looking at a place as soon as I get into town. The one guy who I was gonna rent from, who rented it to someone else after I couldn't make it, uh, he was reliable. He was here when I got here, but two other people I'd talked to vanished before I arrived. So preparatory work was only 50-50. And when I got here, you're subject. I was here 10 days before the end of the month. 10 days should be long enough to get an apartment. Now it's 5 days to the end of the month, and I don't have one. And it doesn't look like I'm going to get one. And I posted on an expat group, look, I'll pay anything. I'll take a two-bedroom and pay whatever for it. I don't want to live in a hotel. That's expensive. And, not what I intended to do. And so I'm in a bit of a quandary at the moment. Do I go to one of these neighboring cities? Um, Guatape is one, but it's not cheap. It's a tourist town. So you go there for a hotel, and it's tourist time, you know. What I may do is just get a hotel here for a month. It's not that much. I was willing to pay 800 US for an apartment, so why not just pay 800 US for a hotel in the same area? It wouldn't be the most luxurious hotel, but it'll be a good area and it'll be a hotel. So I may just do that, or I may split Medellin and retitle this whole thing the Colombia Diaries. I'm not sure. But that's a nice little cliffhanger for the end of the second installment of Fletcher Rhoden's Medellin Diaries. If you're just coming into town, I hope this is helpful to you. Don't count on taxis. Um, accept the kindness of strangers. You'll likely find it. Colombians, very nice people. Some of the girls here are knockouts. Whoa. Wow. Is L'Orealis the coolest neighborhood in the world? I don't think it is. I've been in some of the coolest neighborhoods in the world. I lived in Los Feliz Village from the noughties into the aughties, and that was the coolest neighborhood in the world at that time. And I just don't think L'Orealis is that. But it's a university town, and it's not bad. If you like Brooklyn, you'll probably like it. Um, Tune in and see what happens to me on the next installment of Fletcher Rhoden's Medellin Diaries. I'm here whenever I decide to do it, probably once a week. I'll as soon as I resolve things next week, I'll probably pop in with number 3 to let you know where I wound up and share other colorful anecdotes of my stay. Okay, so enjoy it. Enjoy yourselves. I hope you're all well and safe and happy. I am. And tune in again. Until then, bye, Mary.